Hey, Beastro fans, Jill here, and today I am joined by lovely Shelby from Pet Relief.
Hey
And today we're going to
everyone.
talk about Pet Relief and CBD products and how it might be beneficial for your cat or dog at home. Some people are just new to learning about CBD. Other people are a little bit more seasoned with it and either maybe use it for themselves or have had other experiences with their own pets. But today, Shelby's going to kind of walk us through Pet Relief products, CBD 101, how it can benefit your pet, the importance of finding a high quality, good CBD product in order to see results, and not every CBD product is made the same. Isn't that correct?
Yes, could not be more true.
And the importance of that. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you put it in the comments. We will circle back around at the end of our slide presentation here, and we will make sure that we answer your questions. Even if they trickle in later, one of us will circle back around and make sure they get answered as well. So Shelby, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Jill. So
Yeah.
happy to be here.
Yeah, why don't you give us, for starters, before we jump in, a little bit of your background with Pet Relief. What is your title at Pet Relief? How long have you been with the company? And of course, what pets do you have at home?
Yes. So, again, my name is Shelby. I'm our education manager, and I started with Pet Relief about 3 years ago. But, I kind of stumbled upon CBD and Pet Relief in the early stages when a lot of people didn't even know. I'm pretty sure I was calling it CDBs for a while. But for those of you who don't know, Pet Relief, we're a family-owned company. And I just so happened to be friends with the co-founders. And I had a really anxious pet at home, and my good friend, she actually came in and she was giving me some of the products to try out. And I was really trusting. I had no clue what it was, but at the same time I was really impressed with what it was and the results I was seeing. So after trying it, I was like unhappy at my job. I just thought this is going to explode. So with my sales background, I kind of harassed them into letting me join the team. So it's been really cool to see the industry evolve, but you have to remember it's the pet industry sprinkled with cannabis. So, it's not super regulated, and every brand is made very differently, as you said. So, it's important that if our retailers are going to carry our brand, that they really do understand the whole process from seed to sale and plant to pet. So that's what I do on the day to day, just talk about CBD and Pet Relief and how we make our brand and all of the benefits it can bring to your pet at home. So my little hemp head, she's about 3.5 and has been on Pet Relief since the day I got her. And her name is Opal. She is a little mutt, not exactly sure what she is. I just always call her full bred angel. But she is listed as a lab boxer, but I think there's probably some pity blue heeler, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe some cat in there too. I don't know. She's very sassy. So
And what was the reason that you put her Opal on CBD products?
yeah, so I had actually used it with a previous pet and had seen such great success. And so after just kind of talking to Chelsea, one of the co-founders, and learning more about it, and kind of not hearing about it anywhere else, but these people who had just like tapped into this side of the industry and knew of all of the benefits, I was just extremely impressed. And so, I heard of all of the benefits in giving it to your pet as an everyday general maintenance to keep them healthier longer. And so, I just give it to Opal every day as kind of like her superfood smoothie, to keep her young and healthy and again, just maintain that health. So, yeah, I mean, it's been great. We haven't had any issues since I've had her. So I know what vet bills can look like. And so, by keeping supplemental, supplements within her regimen, it's helped cut down on a lot of that.
That's excellent. So you basically use it more or less as a superfood, not so much because she has anxiety or there's an issue. So you have a younger dog. So dogs at any age can
Yes.
take Pet Relief CBD products and not really have a need for them per se, besides just wanting to have a superfood on board.
Exactly. I think that's a common misconception for a lot of our customers out there, is that CBD is just for the sick elderly pet. And while that's true and it can really help benefit them if they are anxious, if they do have some pain that needs to be managed, it's also great as a preventative too. I started out in customer service here, and we talked to so many customers who have really just kind of struggled once they get to the point of a certain disease or ailment. And it's really sad because they're just like, I wish I would have found this, a year ago. So, when you talk to so many people going through stuff like that all the time, for me, it's just, my dog is very spoiled. She probably eats better than I do. So, I make sure that she's got a good exercise regimen. She's on raw food, and she takes her Pet Relief Edibites every day.
I think there's plenty of us pet owners that think your pets eat better than we do.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is we have willpower, or a lack thereof. And so Opal really doesn't have much of a choice, but luckily she's not super picky, and she's a thankful little pup.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story. So let's get into Pet Relief and all of its awesome benefits. So I have our slide here for us.
Yes. So, I think a lot of the questions that we were getting, especially early on when CBD was becoming a household name, was, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to get my pet high. So the truth is yes, CBD is cannabis. But within the cannabis family, you have, different types of members within that family. So you have hemp, which CBD is a derivative of, but you also have marijuana. So marijuana, of course, is high in THC, THC being the component that gets you high, and then low in CBD, which is really what we focus on. So that's why we use a true hemp strain that's high in CBD and low in THC. So there's a big difference. Obviously, just looking at the crops, they look very different in genetic makeup. Marijuana is one of those things that needs to be grown inside in a really controlled climate, whereas hemp, it's easy because you can plant it in April, and by October, we've got 15-foot stalks that really don't require much. I mean, we're talking sunlight, rainwater, and then I don't know if you all are familiar with Horizon Dairy. It's a USDA organic milk, but their manure, that's what we use on our crops because their farm's just right around the corner from us. So it's a very simple, low maintenance crop, very durable, where it can withstand Colorado weather, which is where I am today. And so there's a big difference. So when people are like, oh, pot for your pets, I'm like, it's like calling a lime and a grapefruit the same thing just because they're both citrus. Very different in genetic makeup. How different are you from your cousin? Right? So, we use a hemp strain.
And something that I've heard Steve say before, Steve is the owner of Pet Relief, is that even, like you said, the genetic makeup of it, when you have marijuana, you're growing more for bud, where when you have hemp, you guys are growing the whole plant. You're using the full spectrum. So you're using the whole plant, and it doesn't really have, that's not the main purpose of it. So the purpose of the harvest is even a little bit different.
Absolutely. And we work with 4th generation family owned farmers that help us develop and create new machinery that helps take better care of our hemp when harvesting it. So, we don't want to tamper with the plant at all, whether it be through the harvest and taking it down or through extraction. The cool thing about it is that there's a lot of synergy between Mother Nature and then our anatomy. These cannabinoids are designed to mimic receptor ports within our bodies. So, that's why we don't eliminate anything, for that matter. So, but then again, within the hemp world and, family, you can have lots of different types of strains too. So, again, when we talk about how every brand is made so very differently, it can vary from how that hemp is farmed, what kind of strain is farmed, how it's extracted, what ingredients you're pairing with it. So we're going to take you through all of that. So if I've lost you so far, I'll reel you back in. But yeah, so it is important that we also use our own strain, something that will not, get a pet high. So again, within hemp, typically you're seeing high amounts of CBD, low amounts of THC. And so, whether it's the Pet Beastro or, any retail store, I mean, gas stations are literally selling CBD now. The final products that are legal to carry must have 0.3% or less of THC in the final product. Because even still, that amount of THC can be potentially harmful for a pet because every pet metabolizes things differently. And, as humans, if a human has THC in their system, they might experience that psychoactivity for about 2 hours. They can at least communicate what's going on. They know that it'll end. Whereas a lot of the time, our pets, they're experiencing that on a tenfold, where it's 6 to 24 hours and they don't know what's going on. And especially if that pet's already anxious, then putting a level of psychoactivity on top of that they can't justify can do the exact opposite. It can spin them into a full anxiety attack. So, when the owners of Pet Releaf were getting into Pet Releaf and creating it, it was really important that it was something that pet parents could also feel safe in taking too. So I take Pet Releaf every day. And the thing is I can take 3 capsules, like right when I get into the office, and not feel an ounce of psychoactivity, because the raw crop that we grow, the PR33 strain, this bud that you're looking at right now only has 0.1% in it. So already significantly less than a lot of our competitors out there. So by the time we process it and extract it, it's actually non-detectable. So again, Mother Nature is pretty intentional when they have THC within the crop. Because it does play a big role in reality and how it's absorbed within our bodies, how it enters into that receptor port. But at the same time, you don't need a big amount because you don't want to get the pet high. So this is really where we find our strain to be very specific and optimal for pets, because, there's enough non-detectable levels of THC in there so it can work effectively, but it will never get a pet high. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to take we were just talking about Dr. Jill coming out to our farm. Of course, COVID had different plans for us, but
Right.
It's always nice when our retailers can come out and, see exactly what's going on in the farm, talk to our botanist, talk to our horticulturist, and, play hide and seek in the plants. It's pretty cool. So we're really lucky that, we found such a great strain, and our farming partners helped us kind of hit the nail on the head when it comes to providing a safe alternative and holistic alternative for our pets.
That's fantastic information. I mean, more people need to, I think, understand the CBD world, understand when they're giving it to their pet, because I have had customers and friends who have given other products and their dog has had panic attacks and they have had issues. And sometimes we don't understand what's happening either, because our cat and dog can't talk to us. So when you have a dog that's acting weird, your mind automatically goes not to the CBD, but that something else is wrong.
Right.
So it's hard to decipher what is happening.
Exactly. Especially when you're trying to use CBD for, a particular ailment, and then, you give it, you put your trust in it, and then all of a sudden you've got a worse scenario. So, that was one thing when I was trying this out for my pet, and I was, seeing such great success and then feeling like I could take it myself too. I was just like, you guys have to hire me. Like I can sell this brand because I believe in it. It's one thing to have a testimonial for your own pet, but then to have your own, I mean, it's pretty awesome. So
great.
So another really huge important thing, like if there's one thing that you guys take away from this entire presentation, I hope that you understand the difference between being organic and then being actually USDA organic, whether you're picking a CBD product for your pet or you're picking it for yourself. So again, this is a really unregulated industry, unfortunately. We're pushing for it, but things take time. And so what a lot of people don't realize is organic is more or less just a buzzword these days, and anybody can kind of put it on the label and not have much to back it up. So we were one of the first to introduce CBD to the pet industry. So this was before it was actually federally legal to grow in the US. So we were growing all of our hemp over in Europe, which the European Union, their agricultural laws are amazing. So we were actually growing USDA organic hemp in Hungary, Germany, and France. But, as everything was preparing to become legal here in the US, we had made really great connections. So we could move all of our hemp over here and have it just right in our backyard. Our whole mantra is from seed to sale and plant to pet. So it is important that we're able to go out there and, again, show all of our retailers the entire process. But the importance of USDA organic hemp is huge because hemp is known as a phytoremediator or a bioaccumulator, meaning that it acts as a really, really powerful sponge in the ground. So, 9 times out of 10 that it's being planted, its sole purpose is to just suck up toxins and pollutants and heavy metals and whatever else from beneath the soil. So when you harvest that hemp now contains everything that used to be in the soil, and it can do that for up to decades ago. So it's heavily grown in China because obviously there's a lot of pollution there, but they're using hemp out in Russia for a phytoremediation project to remove Chernobyl radiation, which nuclear radiation in the ground is now absorbed by that hemp and then harvested. Hopefully they just throw all that away. But, that's something that, you can't take lightly here because, even if I know Joe down the street that has, a lot of land that he's owned the past 50 years, and he's taken phenomenal care of it, and he has the best intent in, giving me some hemp, there's a good chance that it could pull up heavy metals or pollutants or toxins from 75 years ago. So it's really insane the way that hemp is so powerful and it can do a lot of things. So we're really excited to be working with, some of the best partners out there. This is a joint venture partnership. So we are the only pet CBD company coming out of this farm, but there are a lot of other really great companies doing some amazing things in here too. So Patagonia has been doing a phytoremediation project out of our farm. For any beer drinkers, if you've ever heard of New Belgium, the Fat Tire brewer, they actually just launched a Hemperor IPA, and their hemp came from our farm as well. And then Colorado State University is doing a lot of studies out of here too. So again, they're actually helping us scale where we can, drop our prices without reformulating our products. And, that's something really important that Pet Relief, is proud of because since we control the entire process, we can call those shots. We can share those savings, not only with our retail partners, but also our customers. So again, you'll notice a big difference between 2017 and 2018, what was planted. And, we were able to keep 75% of that 2018 harvest versus the year before, only about 30%. So if you've been a big Pet Releaf fan for a while, I know Pet Beastro's carried it a while, you probably remember that big price drop and, maybe being a little nervous. Oh no, what'd you do to your product? It was really working. We didn't do anything to our product. Again, we're just working with the best partners, and we can share those savings as they come around. So it's awesome to work with all of them and just see us grow as a company.
That's fantastic. And I think the lowered price helps a lot more pet parents too, makes it more affordable for them. So, and then also at our location at the Pet Beastro, if you come in and shop in store, we actually also participate in a frequent buyer program. So buy 10, get one free on the oils. And we electronically track that. So customers don't have to cut out the SKUs or track it, trace it, keep receipts, none of that. As long as you purchase it in store, it's automatically enrolled into the freaking buyer program. So that can also be very beneficial.
Yes, I love that. I get it. I'm a consumer too.
Yeah.
So, we always get the question, what is CBD? So CBD is shortened for cannabidiol, and it's the most common compound found within the hemp crop. So, there are 100 other plus cannabinoids present as well that really help the intake of CBD. So just to back that up and give you a comparison, I always say it's kind of like vitamin C within an orange. Vitamin C is the most common vitamin found within the orange, but there are other vitamins and juices and sugars that help the intake. And so same thing with CBD, there are a lot of different cannabinoids that all work together again to, work synergistically within our bodies. So that's really cool. Now, to give you a better visual, we use the entire spectrum of the plant. So Dr. Jill was saying earlier that, we use the stalks, the stems, the leaves, the flowers. So primarily you're going to receive CBD out of the flower, but also a bunch of other additional cannabinoids. So I use a lot of analogies. So I say, look at CBD as kind of being our alpha dog, and the additional cannabinoids in green are kind of like our wolf pack, right? We work better together. It's actually called the entourage effect. Scientists labeled it as that. So again, if you're familiar with CBD or, starting to shop around, you might see certain terminology like full spectrum or broad spectrum or CBD isolate, which can also be called pure CBD or THC free. And most of us consumers, we're like, again, THC, oh no, devil's lettuce. We don't want to get our pet high, right? But it does play a big role. So again, ours has non-detectable levels of THC within the PR33 strain. So I always say that, THC is kind of what initiates CBD getting into the receptor port. So there is a membrane that CBD needs to get past, and so THC is kind of like what opens that membrane. So again, you don't need a high level of that, but you need a certain level so that once CBD is actually in the receptor port, these additional cannabinoids lock it into place, giving us a 9-hour half-life. So, if we were to eliminate, which we see a lot of people doing within this space, eliminating THC or eliminating some of those cannabinoids, making that spectrum, broad instead of a full spectrum, you're shrinking your wolf pack, if you will. Or if we're using a CBD isolate, which Pet Releaf will never use, but, you're eliminating that green part of the chart. You're taking your alpha dog, but your alpha dog's now a lone wolf, right? So again, if you've got a full spectrum, your entire wolf pack, a broad spectrum, a smaller wolf pack, or a CBD isolate, an alpha dog that's now a lone wolf, if you put those all up against the same ailment, what do you think is going to fight off for longer, stronger, harder? You're better in numbers, strength in numbers. So that's why we'll always use the full spectrum. Science backs it as far as it being effective and consistent. And, we just find that the way that it's made is also safer for your pet too. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But, we always hear of people asking, well, I know it's good for anxiety. I know that it's good for arthritis, but understanding how it works within our bodies is pretty cool. So basically, any being with a spine, we have what's called an endocannabinoid system. And that is really what is the major soundboard between our brains and all of our functioning systems. So if a pet's experiencing some kind of anxiety, basically neurons are firing off on a one-way street to the nervous system saying, panic, freak out, whatever. Now, the cool thing about CBD is, again, once it's locked into that receptor port, what used to only work as a one-way street can now turn into a two-way street. So before, when that anxious pet, the nervous system was just receiving messages, now that nervous system can kind of balance out a lot of that messaging, block some of that messaging, calm that. So, and that works with not just the nervous system, but the muscular system. So that's why we hear helping with, pain management and arthritis, allergies within the immune system. I mean, gastric issues, CBD can also help with that too. So, insert an ailment. It's because there's some kind of miscommunication between the ECS and that functioning system. So by introducing CBD, it turns that one-way street into a two-way street, basically letting our bodies hit a full level of homeostasis, right? So I think it's really cool how, it can help with so many different things. But does that all make sense, Dr. Jill?
Totally makes sense. So, just real quick, you just said a big word. What is homeostasis? Because I don't know if everybody knows what that is.
Right. So finding balance within the body, just stabilizing a lot of the systems. So, if we're experiencing that ailment, it's because of some kind of unbalance. And so by introducing that into the body, we can reach balance, we can stabilize everything like that.
Perfect. Great explanation. Thank you.
So, possible uses. Again, we know of it helping with pain management, anxiety, seizure management. And, one thing to understand is that CBD is a supplement, so it can help with a lot of these things. Now, it's not going to rid everything completely, but if we can take that pain level from a 9 down to a 5, then that's better managing that pain. We're doing our pets a service, as well as epilepsy. We're not promising to fix and completely rid epilepsy, but if we can take it from, having seizures every other day, to one, maybe once every 6 months, that's great, And so again, there's a lot of different things that it can help with. So again, we talked about preventative use early on in this presentation. So a reason why I use it is it's a natural anti-inflammatory, and most diseases stem from inflammation. And so by keeping an anti-inflammatory in their system, since Opal was a little tiny pup, I'm preventing some of those diseases. And now also it's a turbo boost for the immune system. So we had also talked about Pet Relief being beyond human grade. Something I use, obviously Opal, we're maintaining her health and keeping her her immune system strong, but, I'm prone to sinus infections. So I take it every day. And, since I started working at Pet Relief and taking Pet Relief every day, I've only had 2 sick days, which my previous employer, we had unlimited, vacation, which I think is a cool benefit, but I could never actually go on vacation because all of my days were used because I was constantly sick. So, by keeping my, immune system boosted as well as my dog, we can enjoy our company together and do more fun things instead of being at home, not feeling well. But I think the biggest thing would be the neuroprotectant. That's a huge selling point for me because, our pets are already aging a lot faster than we are. So by introducing a neuroprotectant that really helps slow down the aging process, not only of the brain, but also of the hips and joints, and again, helping reduce a lot of that inflammation, we're helping prolong that. And so for me, Opal's 3.5, which, yes, she's a young pup, but we talk to so many customers who, they call their dogs or their cats old and they're only 11, and they have a lot of lifespan as long as we're kind of reaching that trifecta of, good exercise, good diet, and also, supplements to prolong their lives, our lives. I mean, it's really not that different from, how we maintain our own health. So you don't have to be going through something to qualify for Pet Relief. There's a lot of really great benefits to just taking it every day. So we also get a lot of questions. Well, how is Pet Relief different than Brand X? And, there's so many different brands out there that it is really hard to keep track. And, we know that there are a lot of really amazing companies out there, but, again, some are, within this unregulated space, looking for a lucrative dollar and maybe not reaching that top quality brand. So, instead of knowing everything about every brand, and sometimes customers just have questions, but they don't necessarily know how to ask them. These are those questions you should be asking. So again, where's that hemp being grown? You can't find what city, state, country, farm it's being grown in. You have to ask yourself why. Why can't I find that information on their packaging or on their website? So we grow all of our hemp here in Colorado. We are loud and proud about that. So, again, transparency is huge. So always ask for these questions, find out those answers. If you can't find those answers, ask yourself why. So, again, we talked about the importance of being organic and how organic is different from a true USDA certified organic farm. Ask to see some kind of certification. That certification is on our website, so you'll see the USDA emblem. So again, remember phytoremediator and how it can suck up a lot of nasty things out of the ground. So unless that ground is clean, you never know what you're going to get. So ask for some kind of documentation. Third-party testing is huge too. It can tell somebody a lot about how that product is made, because third-party testing, it can include all the different types of residual chemicals that might be left in there or non-detectable. Residual chemicals, extraction, we'll get into that here in a second, but if you're using harsher chemicals, sometimes that can reside in the final product. Heavy metals, also the levels of cannabinoids present. So, if you only see CBD on that test, then it's probably a CBD isolate. If you're seeing all of the different cannabinoids, again, envision our little pie chart, then it's at least a broad spectrum. So that's really important too, because you always want to know how much CBD is in this package. You want to know how much do I give my pet, and if you can't figure out what's in, the package or how much is in, let's just say a dropper full, then why? It should be a lot easier to get that information than sometimes we can find. And then, are they using CBD isolate? So again, that's when we're ridding all of the additional cannabinoids, and so we know that it's not going to be as effective. It's not going to be as consistent because, again, the entourage effect, they work better in numbers. So this will all make a little bit more sense here in a couple of slides. But
and I would love to add one more thing to that, just because some people, just because we're, nutrition focused at our store, is to actually look at the ingredient panel.
Yeah.
Just recently, we had somebody in that was looking for a CBD treat, and the previous treat they had picked up at one of the local dispensaries. And when I went to look up the ingredients in it, it was full of fillers: wheat, corn, soy, coloring, carcinogenic, like preservatives. It was just, and sometimes people just don't know those things, but because we are so nutrition focused at our store, you should be able to look at the ingredient panel and know what's in there and see, be able to read each of those items and be able to pronounce each of those items as well.
Right. Yeah, that's such a great point.
Ingredients, I would even put that on the list here, because that can be, now that we have dispensaries and we have, like you said, the local gas station is selling CBD products. You want to make sure that you're also putting healthy ingredients in your pet too.
Yeah.
So.
Trust the professionals at your local pet store, like the Pet Beastro. I find it funny that people are going to go to, a dispensary to get their pet something when THC can be so harmful. And typically, if it's in a dispensary, you're going to have those higher levels of THC. So that's a great point. I'm glad you,
well, I think sometimes too, you're there and it's a convenience thing. It's not like you don't make the association that you should buy the pet products at the your local pet store rather than at the dispensary. You're already there,
right?
So sometimes I think, people think because they're getting their products there that it would be, they can, whatever they pick out for their pet would also be high quality, which that's not always the case.
No, totally. Yeah, no, it's definitely something to have to see in there and Google a lot of the ingredients. So luckily you don't have to do that with any of our products. A lot of the time you've had all of those ingredients yourself. And not to mention I've eaten an edible or two in my day. So But, again, we can see a lot of unfortunate things happening within the space. So we were actually really lucky because, or I maybe not lucky, but maybe deserving. Steve Smith, the president of Pet Relief, if you've ever met him, he's very, very passionate about quality and it being something that we would feel comfortable in taking to. I mean, the whole idea of Pet Relief came from the family going through their own issues with certain pharmaceuticals that were potentially so dangerous for humans, which didn't make sense. So they wanted something that pet parents could also feel safe in taking too. So, getting into a space and knowing that they have seen a lot of the issues and caring for their own pet at end of life stages, it was it hit home for them because, of course, Maddie was part of the family. And so when they lost her, they decided to get into this space. And getting into such an untapped and unregulated space, it was important that we control the entire process and that we were transparent. So we were actually unanimously selected to represent the pet world on the U.S. Hemp Roundtable Board of Directors. And so as soon as we were nominated there, Steve was actually selected to be the VP of that board of directors, and then went to also sit on the FDA committee because these top industry leaders were coming together and noticing a lot of the red flags that we do see within this space. And, COVID, of course, kind of slowed down regulation. So until then, the U.S. Hemp Authority seal was formed. And we were the first pet company to have it, which was awesome. But if you ever see this orange H on any products out there, it means that it's traceable and it's safe. We've been through a third-party audit through every single step of the process to make the products. So we can actually take a lot number and say, oh, it was planted on this day by this person in this plot of land, harvested by this person at this time on this day, and then so forth down the line. So, this just again means that it's traceable and, it's transparent. So we were really excited to have that. We're also in the process of, going through the audit for having the final USDA emblem on our product, meaning that all of the ingredients will be USDA organic. And also we're part of the National Animal Supply Supplement Council. Excuse me, haven't had all my coffee yet. ASC. So it's really cool that, anybody can pay to be a member, but again, you have to go through a pretty grueling audit to ensure that your labels are compliant, your product, everything is controlled and safe. So we're really excited to have that. So, be sure to look out for those seals and certifications whenever you're, shopping around for a product. So you'll see a lot of that on Pet Relief's packaging here within the next month or so, but you can find us with that orange H already.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I know you guys are probably itching to talk some more about our products, but we'll go through extraction really quick too. So, this is so important because this is how you take that CBD and, basically drain it out of the crop. So we have our USDA Organic PR33 strain, and, we're really intentional that we're still putting the best type of extraction process on our plant, which is, in our mind, CO2 extraction, which is just literally pressurized air at low temperatures, and it excretes the oil into more of like a molasses type consistency. It looks like it comes from the earth. And again, when you're using just CO2, it's chemical free. So you don't have to worry about any kind of residual chemicals being in there. And again, it's not using any kind of chemicals where it's going to tamper with any of those cannabinoids or our cannabinoid profile, because again, we want all that the plant has to offer. So that's why we will always use CO2 extraction. It's definitely not the cheapest route, but for us, it's the safest route. But again, when we talk about little to no regulation, you'd be surprised. There's a lot out there, especially within the human space, that contains butane or acetone, because that is how they've leached that oil from the crop, leaving those residual chemicals, potentially where your pet could ingest butane and acetone, which, guys, lighter fluid, paint thinner. It's kind of scary. So we will always use CO2 extraction because we just find that it is safe. Now, we see a lot of people also using CBD isolate, which again, THC free or pure CBD. We're eliminating that green part of that chart that we saw earlier. And it goes through a level of butane or acetone, and then it's chemically burned. So taking what used to be a green crop and turning it into a white powder. And, this is really why we've seen the industry explode overnight, because you can make kilos of this and sell it for a couple of grand. And, all it takes is just a little bottle with a mixing agent, sprinkling this stuff in there, slapping it with the CBD label, and then sending it out. But again, we know that it's not as effective, and just how, if we're eliminating all of those additional cannabinoids, our whole entourage is gone. And, it's something to be aware. If you see organic on the label, but then you see that, butane is in that third-party testing, again, probably want to take that for a grain of salt, because odds are if you're putting butane on it, you're probably not investing tons and tons of money into your farm to ensure quality of the crop.
So could they call the crop, and I know this has happened with within the pet food industry, food regulation. So could they still call it organic because maybe the crop was grown organically, but then the manipulation that happened afterwards with the extraction, even though that wasn't organic, those two things then end up on the report?
You could, because, but I don't understand why somebody would, invest a ton of money in the quality of your farm to then, put something like that on there. So
everyone has different intentions, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely some, it's interesting because it could happen. It definitely could, but odds are when people are using these kind of extraction methods, they're trying to lower their bottom dollar in any way that they can. Sure. And it's actually funny that you bring that up too, because sometimes people can put that USDA certification on their packaging, but with USDA, 95% of your ingredients have to be USDA organic, but the other 5% might not. And so what we've seen is some people potentially even using, USDA organic, insert some kind of oil, coconut oil, and then sprinkling isolate in there, and then somebody's convinced that they're using USDA organic hemp, when really that USDA certification is pertaining to the mixing agent.
Right. So there's different levels of organic as well, like depending on, like you were saying, the percentage of how much of the product is organic. There's different verbiage that's used at like the different levels. So right. I think that is kind of a misnomer in the marketing world as well. People think just because this is organic that it's 100% organic, when it doesn't have to be, or it isn't. It can be only, I think the minimum is like 70%. Right. So there's different label classifications within the organic world as well, which could be confusing.
Absolutely. So it's really important to know what you're looking for. So this is really the only reason why I go through all of this, is because, it's kind of some of the scary parts of the industry, but that's why Pet Releaf is always very intentional about, keeping that standard from seed to sale and plant to pet. So moving on to happier things. So, once we have our USDA full spectrum organic hemp oil, it's really important that we're pairing it with the best ingredients out there too. So, we have lots of different products for every pet specific needs and scenarios, because at the end of the day, you're always going to base your CBD selection off of, your pet's weight, because same thing, you're not going to feed your 5-pound Maltipoo the same as your 80-pound lab. So same thing with milligrams and levels of different types of ailments. You're going to alter the amount of milligrams and, concentrate given to your pet to kind of target what they specifically are going through. So we have small and medium breed Edibites as well as large breed Edibites. For those of you who have used Pet Relief before, you might see some new labeling, which we're really excited. We're introducing some functional Edibites, so adding in some really awesome ingredients to target certain ailments as well. So our Edibites are great for like the everyday preventative snack, if you will, or those lesser severe ailments because they're not as concentrated as our oil tinctures. So I always say that our Edibites are great for general maintenance or, again, lesser severe ailments. So whether it be beginning stages of arthritis, your pet's getting a little older, slowing down a little bit, those are great. And then also, if it's situational anxiety where it's one-offs here and there, whether it's thunderstorms, whether it's fireworks, gosh, whether it's, protests. I mean, we kind of experienced a lot this summer. So it's important that we're giving these to our pets to help keep them calm through some scenarios like that. And timing is really important with anxiety too. So making sure we're giving it about an hour before that anxiety begins. That's really important. But, we've got also, lots of different flavors because pets have preferences too. So, if your pet really is more of like a crunchy biscuit type of gal, then, we've got our crunchy Edibites that are made with a grain-in organic mill-to-order barley. Also, we've got blueberry and cranberry and peanut butter banana. Who doesn't love those flavors? So, we've got the blueberry and cranberry introduced as our new immunity boost Edibite, which, a lot of antioxidants to, again, and just the CBD in general, just to help boost the immune system. Peanut butter and banana, we're actually going to be including some chondroitin and glucosamine along with the CBD to pair well to help reduce the inflammation and better manage that pain. Also calming for the one in the back all the way to the right, peanut butter carob swirl, which is already delicious, but now we're also including chamomile in there to help keep calm. And then our grain-free soft chew sweet potato, those are made, both the calming and the digestive health are both made with an organic pea flour. So if you're looking for a grain-free option, those would be it. And they're kept soft with a vitamin E oil too. But the sweet potato, the digestive health, is also going to include an organic marshmallow root, as well as some ground ginger, organic as well. So, but again, if you're using the digestive health for, arthritis, but your pet really likes sweet potato pie, again, it's still going to help target that muscular system. So don't worry about that. But, we know a lot of pets, prefer a little bit of a protein too. So the ones in the back all the way to the left, that's our Keith Haring line, which is awesome. So for those of you not familiar with Keith Haring, he was actually a graffiti artist back in the 80s who ran in the same circle as Andy Warhol. And, they liked to use their platform to bring awareness to communities that they were super passionate about. So in New York City in the 80s, there was a overpopulation of homeless animals, and they were unfortunately being filtered into kill shelters. And so the barking dog was his artwork that was introduced to bring awareness to those. So when he ended up passing away, his foundation continued giving back to animal rescue. So we partnered up with the foundation to kind of pay homage back to New York City. And we've got pizza, the yellow bag, that's including a pork oil, goat's milk, and oregano. So some really awesome ingredients there to make you feel like you're downtown New York City. And then we've got our bougie uptown treat, the sushi, which is including a wild Alaskan red pollock oil and some bonita flakes and spirulina. So some awesome ingredients there too. Until our Edibits launch, I've got cat folk looking for a nice little Edibite for your cat. Again, everything in our product line except for our topical is dog and cat friendly because, again, they both have spines. They both have very similar endocannabinoid systems. So it's always going to be based off of weight. It has really nothing to do with species or, age. It has everything to do with weight and preference and then level of severity. So if you're going through something a little bit more intense than the lesser severe ailment or general maintenance, then we recommend our concentrated oils. So we've got our top, a couple of different tinctures. The three to the left are regular hemp oils. It comes in a small, medium, and large breed. Those are two simple ingredients. So we do recommend giving those outside of mealtime because since it's an organic CBD oil and organic coconut oil, we don't want something like that clinging to your pet's kibble and then ending up in your backyard, right? We want it absorbing sublingually into those blood vessels underneath your pet's tongue. So about 30 to 45 minutes before or after your pet eats, I just put it in a bowl by itself, and Opal loves that. She thinks that's her dessert. But for those of you who are like, there's no chance that my pet's ever going to let me give that to them, we do offer the same two ingredients in a capsule form. So those are really great for your medium to large breed animal. So even still out of mealtime, you can just, put it in some peanut butter or a little, pill pocket and let them take it that way. But if you're looking for convenience, or maybe you're looking for something different than coconut oil, maybe your pet's allergic to coconut oil, we've got the liposomes. So liposome just means a lipid protective layer. So we're still taking the same USDA organic full spectrum oil and putting it in a bath of natural binder. So now it just coats and shields that molecule, kind of like a peanut M&M. So now you can just put it on the food, so it's protected while it goes through all those gastric acids, and it can get into the bloodstream through the intestine. So just more convenient. And then we're also switching it over from the coconut oil to a wild Alaskan red pollock oil, so a bit more palatable for some too. And, I know that these look a little bit more upfront, but when you break them down price per day, they're actually a bit more cost effective too. So I know it's 2020, it's been quite the year. So if you're looking to, shop with your wallet in mind, that's the way to go. But then also our Canacare topical. So again, this is the only product that cannot be used on cats, but if your pet's ever experiencing anything external, whether it's hot spots or insect bites or allergies, you've got an arthritic dog but is, got shorter hair, you can give them a little puppy massage with this. So it's absolutely got the CBD oil in it, as well as some other really amazing plant-based essential oils. So we use androba oil for anti-inflammation, Ecoba butter for moisturizer and healing, grapeseed oil for pets that are potentially balding, they've lost hair, whether it's due to stress or alopecia or whatever, it can actually help grow hair there again because it clears out the cell wall of the hair follicle. And all of this works so well within the Canacare topical because we're using a special ingredient called neurolidol, which is a terpene that comes from the hemp crop. And terpenes are typically what give off the scent of a crop, but in this case, it acts as a really awesome skin penetrator to pull that CBD down, as well as the other essential oils into those thicker epidermis layers to target that ailment from the outside in. And if it's something really intense that you're going through, this has been known to help with MRSA and mange. You can absolutely pair it with, an oil internally. So then you're just tag teaming that ailment from both sides. But, Pet Relief, we're really intentional about using the entire crop. And, something that we didn't talk about, but hemp seed and hemp heart don't actually contain the cannabidiol or any other cannabinoids. It's a great source of omega fatty acids and proteins, but it's not going to give you the benefits of CBD that you're looking for. So if you're potentially trying a brand that was not super expensive and it says hemp oil and you're like, this isn't really working, again, make sure you're looking at the label to make sure that it's coming from the whole crop and that it's not just the hemp seed, because you're not going to get those benefits from just the hemp seed. But again, lots of really amazing benefits to using them, and so we wanted to use this as an educational tool that still beneficial. So this is kind of like our version of a protein bar down in the Boom bars. So these are awesome. They come in a couple of different flavors. The green one is a energized bar, which I eat constantly. They're delicious. Made with dried apple, rolled oats, cinnamon, turmeric, all that good stuff to give us that good spark of energy that our pet might need. Our longevity bar is packed full of lots of ingredients, that have every nutrient that you could ever want. Lots of antioxidants that help target those free radicals that make us age. So our longevity bar is great for the elderly pet. And then we also have our recovery bar, the yellow one. That has like chia seeds and sesame seeds and baobab in it, which are all packed full of calcium and magnesium. And when you use the two together, it acts as a muscle relaxer. So that and some turmeric, if your pet's been on the go all day and gonna need a little something to help keep them a little recovered, the recovery bar is the way to go. So again, we've kind of got something for everybody because we know every pet has different needs, different preferences. So, Pet Beastro is amazing. They're very familiar with all of our products and can take you through what product would be best for your pet. But again,
so real quick on the CanaCare.
Yeah.
The reason you guys don't recommend that for cats, is that because of the essential oil blends that are in there?
Yeah, so I don't know that I mentioned it, but we use wintergreen and eucalyptus oil for pain relief, which technically that's toxic for cats. So to err on the safe side of caution, we just recommend that you bypass your cat with the CanaCare. But a little pro tip too is if your pet's really picky and you're looking for any kind of option, your dog is picky but needs some calming, you can always rub a little bit on the inner flap of the ear too, because you've got all those blood vessels there, and it's a great calming method. So I use that on myself constantly. I love it.
And then one more quick question on the oils. So the one oil, the regular line that has the 3 that's mixed with coconut oil, so that one is to be given without food.
Yep.
But you don't actually have to technically put it under your pet's tongue.
Right. Again, for me, it is a glass dropper, so just be wary of that when administering it. So Opal can be a little bit of a wild card, so I just put it in her bowl and she licks it up, and it gets
right. So it doesn't have to go in the mouth. I guess that's another kind of misnomer. Is a lot of people think that it has to go in the mouth, or humans are used to taking liquid herbs and whatnot under the tongue, but that's not necessary for your pet. Once it's in the mouth, it soaks in, and then the body distributes it where it needs to go. So it doesn't have to be complicated, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Like if you can get your pet to sit and, open its mouth and lift the tongue and take your oil that way, please video it because I'd love to see it.
Perfect. Just wanted to clarify.
Yes. So, just a couple of questions that we get a lot of, can I overdose? Can I overdo it? And the answer is no. Again, always look at this as more of a vitamin or a supplement over any type of medicine or a drug. With that being said, can you add it in to the other regimens of other medications? The answer is yes. We have no known or documented contraindications with any of our products that would interfere with the medications that your pets are already on, so you can add them in just fine. What happens if my kid gets a little curious and gets into the oil or eats some of the edibites? Your kid is just going to be that much more healthy. Again, this is beyond human grade. We're not recommending that you give it to your child, but if they accidentally get into it, no big deal. And then, is your pet going to get high? The answer is absolutely not. That's not a blanket statement for the entire pet industry, but again, you have to think back to our PR33 strain that we grow non-detectable levels of THC. It was funny, one of my girlfriends texted me the other night, and she was like, my dog got into two-thirds of a large breed Edibite bag. And I was like, well, your dog's going to have a really upset stomach, so good luck with that. But she's not going to be high or, knocked out. She was like, oddly enough, she still was, she's a puppy, so she was just playing throughout the rest of the night too. So your pet won't get high. Don't worry about that. But do I need a prescription? The answer is no. We've never needed a prescription. I know a lot of people are looking for their vet to give them a little bit more information, or maybe that green light to give it to them. So, we are working with some phenomenal vets at Pet Relief. We have our two chief scientific officers actually sit on the AHVMA board of directors, and also we actually just hired another vet as our VP of development. So, we're working on kind of bridging that gap to make it harmonious, where you can kind of get that green light from your vet on Pet Relief, but you don't need a prescription. This product is absolutely legal. It's federally legal, and states can kind of change their mind from time to time, but it is federally legal. So, I travel with suitcases of this stuff at a time. You can thank Obama for the Farm Bill Act of 2014 for, making this obtainable. And then also, how much CBD does my dog need? Every pet is so very different because, again, we're working with lots of different weight ranges, lots of different ailments, lots of different levels of ailments, and then let's throw in metabolism. So we always recommend starting low and then working your way up. If you need to go above the recommended amount, it's totally fine. We know that every pet has different needs, so your pet might just need a little bit more than what we recommend, and that's totally fine. You're not going to overdose. And then biggest takeaway, does my healthy pet need CBD? The answer is, of course. Really, we believe that every mammal should be taking CBD because of all of the benefits, to change what healthy means for your pet and to maintain that health for your pet for a very long time. So that's all I have for you folks. I mean, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now.
Of course. I also put in here testimonials because I think, besides you and me having testimonials, I know we have tons of testimonials out there from Pet Relief fans, our CBD fans. So if you guys have a testimonial, if you wouldn't mind putting it into the comments so other people can see reasons why you've maybe used it or picked up the product or the benefits that you've seen with your pet. I hear time and time again how people start using Pet Relief products, they run through a bottle of it and they don't feel like they've maybe seen a difference, or maybe the changes have been so subtle that it's just not like in their face changes. And so they'll let the bottle run out, and then they won't use CBD products or Pet Relief for a couple of weeks. And then they come back in and they're like, okay, so maybe I didn't see the changes happening, but something happened and now my dog's back to doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So they've come back in to pick up another bottle of Pet Relief because the changes were so subtle. And sometimes that does happen. It's not, senior dogs, if we get like better mobility, typically we can see that pretty quickly and it's drastically, where other dogs, it might not be so like in your face.
Yeah, people always ask, are they going to turn into a zombie? It's like, again, as I was just saying with my friend's pet getting into, almost an entire bag of the Edibites, no, they're not going to turn into a zombie. You might just notice that they're a little bit more stable, a little bit more calm. It's really what you're not going to see, that, like you said, if you give it a break after, all of a sudden you're like, wait, hold on, maybe I did need it. So, it's almost like that ailment becomes forgotten about because CBD is working naturally, but maybe not in a way where you're like, hold on, what's going on with my pet? It's kind of like what happens if we take too much vitamin C. When we take vitamin C, it's not like, pep in my step, I'm feeling like on sunshine today, but if we don't take it, and we feel something coming on, then we can definitely notice a difference.
Right. And then just in some of my own experiences, I've seen quite a few of our dogs that come in for chiropractic care. Most often they are older, or there has been a trauma or something, has resulted in an inflammatory situation or arthritis, pain, hip issues. The list of everything you gave us, we see often, and those dogs tend to do really well with the Pet Relief products. My own cats, I have 2 cats that are currently on the higher potency liposomes, believe it
Okay.
or not. So sometimes too, I always tell people that, like you said, it doesn't start low and work high, but sometimes you have to meet the trauma where it's at. Like sometimes
Totally.
a higher potency is going to give you better results because the trauma is greater,
Right.
even though it might be a smaller pet. So one of our cats, we have an F1 Bengal, and he is a nervous Nelly, has been from day one. It took many years before I could even touch him.
Yeah.
And he's been on CBD, and he's made some pretty good strides in letting myself and Lewis actually pet him, touch him, approach him, manipulate him. So I can look in his mouth now. I can look under his tail. Like before, that was never going to happen at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's about finding that magic milligram for your pet. So, when you look on the back of our packaging, it's never, it's a weight range, and, a lot of our Edibites, it says 2 or as needed, because, something that a pet is going through at 27 pounds versus 48 pounds, but they are recommended the same amount within the same weight range, it's going to be different. And so a lot of the time I call it the trial error period, because sometimes people go with the recommended amount, and that is the perfect, amount for their pet. And they typically see, some results within hours. However, sometimes it takes a few days for others because maybe their pet is going through a little bit more than what they're actually seeing. And so, again, when we're putting in, components like metabolism, it can be kind of hard and it can be different. So, take it for what it is. It's a guide. So if you need to go above it, that's fine. And if you ever have questions, sometimes, again, it comes down to timing. Sometimes it comes down to administering it correctly. So, call the Pet Beastro, call us. A lot of the time it's just, having that little conversation where maybe we catch on to something and we can give a little piece of advice and then make that little change. All of a sudden you're seeing results, and you're a hemp head for life. But, we're here to help. We know there's a lot going on in CBD, and it can be very confusing. So,
and we're happy to help out. Most of our employees have had experience with it. And you're totally right. Sometimes it's just asking a couple clarifying questions and making some tweaks as to how it's being administered, or when it's being administered, that can really help people see a difference in their pet. So absolutely. Any of us are happy to help. We had a couple, looks like we had some fans watching today just saying hello. Somebody says they love Pet Relief. Thank you. I'm glad you guys were joining us today. And then, of course, we have online at thepetbistro.com. We have all the products here at the store, so you could always, I just did a quick search up in the upper right-hand corner for Pet Relief products. So if you go to our website there, let's get back over to my screen here. If you go up here to the right and type in Pet Relief, hit the search bar or the magnifying glass, and you guys will see all the different products that we have in stock from Pet Relief. We're usually fully stocked unless we have something going on with an outage, but that doesn't happen too often. So we do have, I think, pretty much everything you guys carry. Of course, we've been dying and waiting for cat treats. So that's exciting if that's in the works.
Yes, I heard a little tidbit that they're working on the packaging. So
perfect.
Good enough.
We've been hearing that for a long time, so we're excited about that.
Well, it's got to reach the Pet Relief standard to be out there. So soon enough.
And then, of course, anyone's always welcome to call us. So 248-548-3448. We can help you in store as well. And then Shelby and I have committed to having a fun little interview the third Thursday of every month. So monthly, we'll have a new topic to talk about with Pet Relief. And if you guys have any suggestions, you're welcome to leave them in the comments below. If there's something that you would like us to cover, something we can answer or help out with, let us know, and we can put that in our notes and possibly cover it here soon. So perfect. Anything else you think we've missed today, Shelby?
Oh gosh, I'm pretty thorough. Also happy to review things that we went over today in future episodes too. But I really appreciate our partners taking time to educate their consumers. So, that's why we love the Pet Bistro. And thank you for having me, Dr. Jill.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad you could join us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in another month.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.